At Maurice's, we're all about great jeans. You know, the ones that fit you just right. The ones that go from work days to weekends and everywhere in between. The ones that simply make you feel good. Because you don't just wear jeans, you live in them. With 25 sizes, 5 lengths, and 6 denim brands, you've got options. And fit experts in every store to make jean shopping easier. Find great jeans starting at $29.90 in stores and at Maurices.com.
So, I want to give a shout out to anyone who's considered starting their own business. Maybe you have a passion project that's turning into your main thing. Maybe you're sick of your routine and you're looking for excitement or a whole new hustle. But before you start juggling all the plates and wearing all the hats, on minimal sleep, you need the right provider in your corner. You might have heard the news that broke recently about comedian Craig Robinson quitting comedy to pursue a small business venture. Despite the career shakeup, he isn't doing it alone. He's working with AT&T Business, who make being connected, protected, and supported as easy as giving them a call. I mean, if Craig Robinson could do it, so can you. Business.att.com.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. I hope that you've had a great week. I have a great episode for you. Back with me today is Carlos King, reality TV producer and podcast host. We're going to talk about the season premiere of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And then we also talk about Teresa Giudice and Real Housewives of New Jersey. For those of you who have monitored the cast members on the shows and whether or not they are kept on shows, you're going to love this discussion. We also talk about Real Housewives of Orange County this season as well. So if you're a Bravo fan, you're going to love this episode. But really, if you like all reality shows, we go so much into contracts, when someone should walk away from the show, cast dynamics. So again, if you like all things reality TV, I think you're really going to appreciate this conversation. And of course, I want to make sure that you checked out all of the episodes this week, especially yesterday's episode with Donna Bowling, where we talked about behind the scenes of Dancing with the Stars. Again, another reality show. You will appreciate that discussion. Also, tomorrow's Saturday series episode is one of the most compelling, most interesting discussions that I've ever had with a Saturday series guest. So make sure you check out that episode as well. Now, I know I always tell you to check out my What to Watch list. This weekend, there is a true crime doc series that I really want you to check out. I know I've mentioned it before. It's called The Case Against Adnan Syed. It is an HBO documentary series. This is the new part 5 called The Tree Grew. Now, in 1999, high school student Hae Min Lee was murdered in Baltimore, Maryland. Her ex-boyfriend Adnan was convicted of her murder. And the case became internationally well-known after the Serial podcast in 2014, which raised a lot of doubts about the investigation, testimony, reliability, and also how evidence was handled. So HBO released a 4-part documentary in 2019 directed by Amy Berg. This was digging deep into the events, the people involved, and the legal questions. Over the years, there have been developments. In 2022, his conviction was vacated. But then in 2023, an appellate court reinstated his conviction, though he was not put back in prison at that time. So it has been a long legal journey with many twists and questions remaining. So I want you to watch part 5, The Tree Grew, because there are key updates and themes. 1, a new suspect and renewed investigation. A suspect from the original investigation was later arrested for assault, and that development has triggered his legal team to revisit earlier evidence. There's untested evidence and suppressed testimony. The episode reveals previously undisclosed evidence, things like untested DNA samples, witness testimony that may have been suppressed. There's the legal and political battle, a tug of war between Adnan's defense, the state attorney's office in Baltimore, and the prosecutors. Of course, his life after release. It shows his personal journey after spending 23 years in prison, his release, and his reunion with his family. And then, of course, there's always the emotional and human dimension to the aftermath of this case. So I want you to watch it. Again, it is on HBO. It is called The Case Against Adnan Syed. It is part 5, The Tree Grew. You can go back and listen to the Serial podcast. it is one of those compelling cases, I think, that really kind of spurred interest in true crime podcast series. So I want you to go back and look at that what to watch list. You can get that at katecasey.substack.com. Just go to that site and you hit the subscribe button. You will get this list every week in your email. And I'm telling you, you're going to love it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show and check out the bonus podcast as well this week. You are not going to miss that story. So here is my interview with my friend, Carlos King. Carlos, we are back together to talk a bit about I'm assuming we're going to talk about a lot of things in a short period of time. But the first thing that I think is of the most importance is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is back. And I'm thrilled that you're here with me. So welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, Kay. I love being here with you.
So were you excited about Salt Lake City?
I was excited until I watched it.
Me too.
I know this may not be the popular opinion, but who cares? I love Salt Lake City. I enjoyed the past 2 seasons. I thought, that Salt Lake City was definitely a cast of women who were deserving to be heralded as having a great season, being the fan favorite of the shows. I will say the premiere, I'll just tell you now, I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either.
Oh my gosh, really?
I was so disappointed. And in fact, I was, by the 45 minutes in, I was scrolling on my phone and talking to my kids and just kind of tuning out.
I was like, why is this show still on? I'm like, I did the same thing. Kate, you and I are so much alike. Kate, I literally, because I watched it on Peacock the next day. So I hit pause, like, wait, is this shit not over yet?
Yeah.
And it was like 45 minutes. And I'm like, wait, what's happening? Then it's like, you have like 54 minutes, this episode. I'm like, it's a supersized episode. This episode was not deserving of being supersized. If anything, it needed to be returned to sender.
I thought so too. Well, first question I thought in retrospect was, there was no real or very little personal story. I just felt like they just shoved us onto a girls' trip. And I thought, wait a minute, can you buy me a drink? Take me out? What?
Can you at least grab my kneecap and say, hey, you want to go upstairs?
Totally. I just thought, is this a sign of bad things to come?
Okay, this is funny. I literally on my own podcast said the same thing, Kate, that where's the personal story? I wanted to know where these women were in their lives after the reunion.
Yeah.
I wanted to know the state of Brahma's relationship with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice to see them settled in the house. I would have loved to see a scene with Mary and her son. How are things going with him at the time of filming? To be introduced to an RV.
Mm-hmm.
And I love me some Angie K. So I was like, okay, what is this? She picks up Mary. I'm like, are you guys really giving us a trip? Kate, it's one thing to give us a trip in the first episode, right? I can maybe get with that a little bit, right? The fact that a trip is starting when the episode is starting shocked the hell out of me. I come from the school of producing these shows, and I'm all about making things different in this day and age. I didn't think that was a smart move at all.
I didn't think so either. And an RV, there are few things that are as torturous to me as traveling in an RV, let alone the fact these shows are supposed to be aspirational, a pop of color on the screen. They went to the most drab place and parked an RV next to a dumpster. I know that there's supposed to be a little bit of tongue in cheek, about in that moment, but I just thought, this is your introductory episode. This is pretty bleak.
Yeah, and for me, I just felt like a lot of it was performative. Can we talk about the SWAT team?
Did you for 1 second actually real think? I was like,
girl.
4 of those guys were the Chippendales immediately.
Come on, I thought I saw Channing Tatum. Do you know what I mean? I was looking for Channing, which would have been more enjoyable than the episode. But what I will say is, Like, Kate, come on. The sad part is don't insult my intelligence. And I want to go on record saying this. I'm all for having fun. I'm all for like poking fun at, the fourth wall. I'm all about the wink to the audience, right? But it has to be something that is smart and enjoyable. So to sort of introduce a SWAT team with the word SWAT on the back of their vest and the dramatic music playing, and Whitney Rose, who I love as a housewife, is a terrible actress. So she's smirking the entire time. And for 1 second, are you telling us that we, the audience, is supposed to believe that Whitney Rose is about to get arrested and this is Jen Shaw part 2? And I thought it was a missed mark because Jen has been on the show in 4 years.
Yeah,
so why are we
talking about it? Yeah.
Why are we talking about it? I was confused.
Well, there's that one moment where they're comparing Lisa to Jen Shaw, and Heather says something like, well, she's in prison and was it like she's going to be there for a long time? And I thought, oh, but you're wrong. I bet you Jen Shaw is out in like another 6 months.
Oh, Jen Shaw, from my understanding, based on what I'm reading, is going to be out, Kate, in 2026.
Yes.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And back on the show.
Absolutely. So then I thought, that's going to come back to haunt her. That's probably why they included it. They're like, well, that's going to be the beginning of the next season.
There you go. There you go. Heather wants the game with a foot in her mouth. Yeah.
All right. Lisa Barlow doesn't show up. Clearly, to me, she's negotiating her contract at that point.
90% of reality stars, Kate Casey and the audience, reality stars negotiate their contract, and they're sort of what's the legal word I should be using here when it's their bargaining chip, right?
Yeah.
Is the fact that, well, I'm not going to show up. Mm-hmm. And it's a way of two things: is letting the network know they mean business. I'm not showing up to film. And it's also a way of telling the production company, see if you can do the show without me. I believe that allegedly Lisa Barlow was negotiating her contract. I believe that 100% because I've seen it happen throughout my career. The worst thing you can do as a producer, if you know this talent believes she's the star of the show and she is hijacking the season by not showing up on an all-cast trip, the worst mistake you can make is making the entire episode about her.
Which they did. Because now you're giving credence
and credibility to this woman, Lisa Barlow, saying, see, I am the show. Now, look, I will say this, Kate. I do not know whether or not she was successful in getting what she wanted because she is on the show this season. But come next year, the year after that, look, I think they boosted Lisa's ego in this episode.
Yeah, but also, if she is in fact still negotiating, why would you still move forward with the trip? Because then they have nothing more to do than just sit around and talk about who the players are.
Yeah.
And of course, they're all enraged. They're like, I have to spend 3 days away from work and my family, and I'm showing up to film, and this one doesn't have to. So you're creating a tension-filled situation where they're all enraged.
Yes. You're letting the women believe that, look, okay, she's not here. And let's be clear. They all know she's not there because she wants more money.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, because this is what you and I do so well. Let's talk about the psyche of that.
Exactly.
Right? So let's focus on corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sharing the same office or cubicle area with people and we're all a part of a team, if I know that one person isn't there, then I believe that, okay, we have to step up and do our job. When this person comes back to work, the psychology is, what did you guys give her for her to come back to work? Mm-hmm. Why is this person getting special treatment? It does a disservice to the cast when that happens. And look, I'm not saying she got what she wanted. Kate, oftentimes, and this is some tea for you in the audience, oftentimes the cast member who holds out for more money doesn't get anything. And they realize, oh shit, I'm out of X amount of episodes, which decreases my pay, right? So again, Lisa Barlow could have definitely came back with no sort of raise, but to have her be the main topic of conversation, I would have never done.
Yeah. I did like that Whitney came forward about how she had basically sunk her family financially because of ill-advised decisions. I would have liked to have begun that story by showing her in her house and the tension with her husband. I don't know why they didn't do that.
I hope they can hear my applause. Okay. Because I agree with you. I don't... Listen, I didn't like the back and forth between Brittany and Whitney in the RV when Whitney was talking about Lisa, and then Brittany said, that's my good friend, which we'll get to that later. Mm-hmm. And, Brittany's like, look, let's talk about your business. And then, Whitney makes a joke about her sucking D as part of her job. I would have enjoyed it more if in that moment, Whitney admitted that she was, that her business did fail. I want to see more stories like that. Yeah. I want to see more stories of people in general on reality television. You and I just spoke about the Chrisleys that I'm going to watch tonight, about the transparency of saying, I failed.
Yes.
And what that means for me, my family, my self-confidence, my worth. We've all experienced failures, Kate. Mm-hmm. And one thing that we all can relate to, because again, we want these women to be relatable. One thing we all can relate to is that moment of failure where you think something's going to work and it doesn't work. And you do have those moments, Kate, of second guessing yourself. I wanted to see that more. And Kate, you are 100% correct in terms of why not have us see Whitney at home with her husband, who, from my understanding, invest in her businesses, right?
Yeah.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
And now, a next-level moment from AT&T Business. Say you've sent out a gigantic shipment of pillows, and they need to be there in time for International Sleep Day. You've got AT&T 5G, so you're fully confident. But the vendor isn't responding, and International Sleep Day is tomorrow. Luckily, AT&T 5G lets you deal with any issues with ease, so the pillows will get delivered and everyone can sleep soundly, especially you. AT&T 5G requires a compatible plan and device. Coverage not available everywhere. Learn more at att.com/5G network.
Well, you begin by filming them together, but you let the audience feel the tension. And then it's by, halfway through the episode, you start to kind of peel back the layer. So you build into it. But just to have that so early into the episode and then not have any reference to how her husband feels is so weird. It also illuminated for me how much these women dislike each other off screen and how there is not a real friendship for most of them. Because if that had happened in Miami and one of the women had said, I have sunk my family financially, I think that most of them would say, it's okay. It's all going to work out. They would stand up for them. Even despite little quarrels, I feel like they show up for the others in a way that I don't think is possible in Salt Lake City. And sometimes I think that's what I'm missing. To your point, they can be very performative. But mostly by the end of the episode, I just thought they clock in, they clock out. They really all hate each other. I mean, Heather even highlights that in the beginning of the episode. This one hates this one. This one's not talking. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I need to know that right up front. Let me figure that out. You know what I mean? Like,
hey,
I want to go,
so good.
Oh, you know what? I don't think she likes her. It was like coming in with a hammer.
Yes. So I don't know whose idea it was to give us a Blair Witch Project opening of this episode where it was like...
I hated that movie.
Transparent moment. It's the scariest movie I've ever seen in my lifetime. Kate, I was in middle school. I was with two of my best friends and I screamed. So maybe in all fairness, I have PTSD. But isn't it funny to me how that opening that Kate just talked about, they also tried to say, these group of girls, like, we have a real friendship. No, which one is it? Are y'all real friends, or does this person hate that person? This person doesn't like that. It confused me. I agree with you 1,000%. I think of all the franchises of Real Housewives, the only show where I believe they're really friends off camera is Miami.
I believe that too.
Is the only one. Yeah. I think Beverly Hills is second in terms of there's pockets of friendships. But I think Miami by far is like the one, like Kate has said, if something happened to like Adriana, Gertie, even like Larsa, I think these women would say like, oh my gosh, I feel bad for you. In this moment, I may not like you, but in this moment, I'm going to be there for you. So you're right. When Whitney had that transparent moment and the only person who tried to comfort her was Brittany, and she's like, too soon. And I felt like, Whitney, you're doing that for the fans. Like, I think, okay, maybe I got it wrong. I think if I just had a silly, and let's be clear, it was silly, a silly argument on an RV with a woman, that's not going to carry me for the next 5 minutes. So when Brittany came to hug her, I would have received it because I would have wanted somebody to comfort me in my time of need.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think that they play Lisa the wrong way. They're all so bothered by her. If they were more thoughtful about it in terms of like cast members, you ease into it. You're kind of like every kind of time you film, you ask Lisa, you kind of rub her back, ask her about work. You have to let people dig their own holes. You don't dig it for them. And that's what I think that they mess up on is that, they start off this episode on this trip. They're all talking shit about Lisa. And then they're talking immediately about all of these lawsuits. You have to let the person that's facing these lawsuits, like they have to eventually discuss it, or you have to slowly build into it because you look like the villain when you just bring it up right away.
Yeah. That's actually very smart. The problem is a lot of the vitriol towards Lisa is a fact, and I strongly believe this, and her not being in this episode to me is part of my proof. I think Lisa walks around believing she's the star of the show, that they need her, and I think she's vocal about that. Mm-hmm. One thing Kay, I think you know this. Every single housewife franchise, every single one, there's at least one housewife who walks around saying, I'm the queen.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I'm the star of the show.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
And I believe that person by far is Lisa Barlow. And I think these women don't like her for those reasons. And I also think they don't like Lisa Barlow, secondly, because she's also somebody who, and I do agree with them on this, Lisa Barlow is definitely somebody who will expose your marital business issues because we always have to look at history. Mm-hmm. She thought she wasn't being filmed season 3, I think it was, where she went on and on to the producer about her friend Meredith. And the way she spoke about her, Kate, gave me chills because
that's what happens behind the scenes.
Ding, 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 ding. And I think that showed us who Lisa Barlow truly is. And these women will never, ever forgive her for that.
Mm-hmm. Nor should they. By the way, you and I have talked at length about Teresa and Louis, and now there are these reports that New Jersey is moving forward, and it doesn't look like she's participating. How do you feel about that?
So great question. And I want to talk to you about this and your very smart audience, because I know the beauty of us having conversations is we go deeper and we don't run the gamut of picking favorites or all that other stuff that some people do. I will say this, as a producer who has worked on a lot of Housewives shows, what I will say to you, and this is the truth, when you are testing out new Housewives, you don't have the new potential person film with everybody. And that's a fact. And I think people are reading too much into it. Do I believe that the newbies are test filming with some of these women? Yes, I do. Because I know how this works. Look, when we cast, let's talk about Atlanta Housewives, for example. When we cast Phaedra and Cynthia only filmed with Nene in her test shoots. She never filmed with the rest of the girls. She didn't meet those girls until she got the job and we were filming for the season. Phaedra only tested with Candy when she got on the show. Let's move forward. Kenya Moore only tested with Cynthia Bailey. Nene Leakes, presumably, is the star of the show. Kenya never tested with Nene. She only tested with Cynthia. Portia tested with Kenya because there were things going on. So anyway, that's my long way of saying that the reports of Teresa job being in jeopardy, I want to calm everybody down and just say,
let it play out.
Let it play out. And listen, I will say this, and I do believe this as a person, as a producer, as a viewer. I can't see that show without Teresa. Based on what I'm hearing, Kate, we may be in for a surprise when it comes to who is coming back. And I don't think we are all going to be on the same page about that decision.
Okay.
What do you think about it?
I don't think that they're going to bring her back.
So this is good. Okay, so Kate Casey, because I love when we have these debates. So you don't, okay, I have two questions for you. And they may be in one of your answers. They may be there's one answer from you.
Okay.
Do you think Teresa won't be asked back? And or do you, as a viewer, do you not want Teresa back?
I don't think she'll be asked back by the network. And at this point, I don't want her back because I think it's too dark. And I think after that really dark season and what has happened on Real Housewives of Orange County and the fatigue that the viewers have felt and the climate in which shows are filmed now and the competition, that by including her, it's kind of like walking back in time. And I think the audience is eager for new, fresh stories. And she has exhibited a history of being very obstinate. And I don't think it's easy to film a show around someone who is like that. And I think that they also take into account how easy it is to film with someone, their availability, but the people that encircle them. And I don't think that her husband probably makes it easy. I was telling you before we filmed that the Chrisley show I find incredibly captivating because they are really transparent in a way I had not expected. And I think it's some of the most authentic storytelling in television today. And I think people are eager for all the bruises that come with people's lives, just like be honest about it. And I think that Teresa and her husband really don't want to get down to the gritty part of their lives. They really kind of are not of the moment. They like to make it seem like everything's perfect. If they were willing to film and to showcase how much they argue about their financial problems, about maybe the difficulty in blending families, all of those things, then maybe there was an opportunity for that. I just think TV, and especially the Bravo network, is moving away from the kind of show that she was part of.
Well, I was going to say that because that is Teresa. That's who she is, right? She was somebody that gave everything, right? Similar to the Chrisleys. Went to prison, came home from prison, gave you the honest conversations with Joe.
Man, you know what? I think you're giving her too much credit. I don't really think she was totally... no, I think she could have been way more transparent. She has a personality where she sort of skims over things. If she was more like financially, I feel completely like I am buried in debt here. I'm frustrated with my brother because I feel an emotional overload in terms of my parents' health and their financial well-being. I'm overwhelmed because I have to raise the... I don't think she did.
No, Kate, I think she did. I don't think she said it in the way you're articulating, but this woman did say to her husband, I'm paraphrasing, I don't like you anymore because you're the reason why I wasn't able to spend time with my parents.
That was one time.
No. But the thing is this.
One time. That's not enough. That's not enough.
But we also
not
have
enough for the paycheck that she's given. Not enough for the episodes that were filmed. Not enough for the investment that people made into that show and those characters. It wasn't enough.
I know, but we also have to figure things out from here. We also have to understand that sometimes things are done on the timeline in which everyone expects us to have these realizations. I think the thing that we know about Teresa is the delayed reaction to things.
I don't think that's what I think what I'm trying to tell you is I think people gave up. I don't think people have the patience anymore. Because what people really want to know right now is you have not filmed for a year. This has to have been crippling in some way.
For all of them.
How is it affecting your relationships, not just with your husband, with your children, with the attorney seems to have disappeared. I don't think she wants to showcase that. I
disagree. I think she does, but I will say this.
Maybe if she does, it's because she's like, oh shit, I'm going to be out of $1.2 million a year.
But guess what? and guess what? I think it's a lesson for everybody. Listen,
that you're all expendable. Yeah.
But also I think it's a lesson for everybody who are on these shows with these fake boyfriends, who have these secret relationships, who have these secret depths and they don't talk about it because they feel like I don't have to do it. We're talking about Jenna Lyons, who has a whole fiance that we don't get a chance to see.
Yeah, so I don't think that's acceptable.
No. You and I both know it's not acceptable. Yeah. But let's talk about what we do well. It's the psychology of what that does. Yeah. This Housewives is a subculture of its own. Sure. I do think what happened, think about it. Bethany Frankel coming back with a big paycheck with demands of, you're not going to see my daughter. And they're like, okay. And
right.
So I think in their defense, though, I think the idea that these women got away with it, I think some of the OGs felt like, again, it's all about the treatment. If I'm Teresa Giudice, and again, I'm not speaking for her. I'm just using her as an example. If I'm Teresa Giudice, and I've been on the show since season 1, and I got arrested, court, prison, came back, my parents passed away, got a divorce, all these things happened. And you mean to tell me I have to watch Bethany Frankel come back with a big paycheck and she doesn't have to show her daughter? I have to watch this new woman come from this New York fashion world that nobody knows about unless you're Anna Wintour, tell the audience, I do have a fiance, I'm a lesbian, and you're not seeing it. I think it's only fair psychologically to be like, why do I have to give more? Do you know what I mean? So I do think...
I could see why she would feel that way. But I also think she doesn't see this. And I think it's because when they're in that world, they do not see beyond it. And that's maybe the problem and why it's important for them to take a beat and to walk away.
For sure.
She's been on since the first season of that show. And people get tired of the same story. And the New Jersey housewife experience is different than when it was when they started filming. The world has changed. Yes. And I think that she thinks that the show should still be like that. And it just isn't. And I don't think it's normal for someone to be on a Real Housewives show consistently year after year for that amount of years. You have to go off and live a life and have some perspective. But if you're in the filming bubble several months of the year, over, how long ago did you film that first season? How many years ago was that?
Ooh, that was in 2009.
Okay, it's 2025. You got to take a beat and walk away. And maybe in 2 years' time, she would be different. I think if she goes away for a longer period of time, we might get a little bit more. But it seems like every single season, and with certainty, the last season she was on, she just didn't really film much. And when she did film, she was so, as I said, obstinate that it just isn't fun. I think you have to remember from 2009 to 2025, that audience is a lot of people who watch true crime documentaries. They watch documentaries about musicians. They're hungry for peeling back the layers. They don't just want like campy scenes. The audience wants more than what was first shown in 2009. It's different.
On Boxing Day 2018, 20-year-old Joy Morgan was last seen at her church, Israel United in Christ, or IUIC.
I just went on my Snapchat and I just see her face plastered everywhere.
This is The Missing Sister, the true story of a woman betrayed by those she trusted most.
IUIC is my family and like the best family that I've ever had.
But IUIC isn't like most churches.
This is a devilish cult.
You know when you get that feeling where you just, I don't want to be here. I want to get out. It's like that feeling of, like, I want to go home now.
I'm Charlie Brinkhurst-Cuff, and after years of investigating Joy's case, I need to know, what really happened to Joy? Binge all episodes of The Missing Sister exclusively and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus. Start your free trial of Wondery Plus on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or in the Wondery app.
In November 1974, IRA bombs ripped through 2 Birmingham pubs, killing 21 innocent people. Hundreds more were injured. It was the worst attack on British soil since the Second World War.
When a crime this appalling and shocking happens, you want the police to act quickly. And boy, did they. The very next day, they had 6 men in custody. Confessions followed, and the men were sent down for life.
Good riddance, you might think, except those men were innocent. Join me, Matt Ford.
And me, Alice Levine.
For the latest series of British Scandal, all about the Birmingham Six.
It's the story of how a terrible tragedy morphed into a travesty of justice, and how one man couldn't rest until he'd exposed the truth.
Follow British Scandal now wherever you listen to podcasts, and binge entire series early and ad-free on Wondery Plus.
So that's why I think Chris Lee's show before was shit. And I would tell them that. And they, to Todd Chrisley's credit, he would tell you, I agree. I listened to him talk about it. He hated filming the show. He's like, I was sick of it. I didn't like not having privacy. It didn't feel like it represented me to me. And he said, I'm much better now because I went through a life experience that forever changed me. Mm-hmm. And I think people get into the rhythm of a show and they are insulated and they become less of a real person living an authentic experience in life. And the Chrisley show now is they pick up filming while they're still in prison. So you see these children struggling and the family dynamics. And you find out the sister and the brother actually hate each other and that Julie's parents can't stand Todd. And you're like, wait a minute, this is not what you portrayed in the other show. It was like, Beaver, leave it to Beaver.
Yeah.
And now they're just ripping their souls open and saying, I'm struggling. And then you see the parents come back and they're just out of sorts, trying to make sense of like getting reacclimated to life. I think people would much rather see a Teresa go off the show for a couple of years and then come back and then talk about it versus just the version that she's been for all the years.
But what I also think is the beauty of the hiatus is what you're also echoing, which is they haven't filmed in almost 2 years, right? It's been 2 years. I do think, to your point though, the absence could funnel a lot of that reality of this was taken away from me. And maybe now I have to have a new perspective in terms of what I'm doing again. So I agree with you. I think when it comes to a lot of these shows, a lot of these women should have a break. I think Jersey has, with their 2-year break, I think a lot of these women had to eat the humble pie.
And by the way, I do think they need to add new people because you need to modernize the show. Get some people that are in the...
Yeah.
See, New Jersey and OC to me are very much a suburban story. It's more like like Housewives, like raising children. I mean, an added bonus if they've got a career, but that's really like child raising versus like New York or some like Beverly Hills. They're all a little bit older, but that's what it should be about. So get some
agree with you.
Moms that are in the thick of raising children and all the social dynamics that come with that. Like you trying to get your kid into the right school, the crazy sports parents, and feeling like your friends don't respect the fact that you've got a child who has special needs. Like those are suburban, like child raising stories that so many people who watch these shows want to feel seen through.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, sadly, everything you're saying I agree with in terms of what we want to see. And that's the reason why I think Jen Aiden was a great addition to the show because of those reasons. I looked at Jen Aiden when she first came on the show as she is a real housewife.
Truly, yes.
With young children and dealing with her daughters and dealing with the insecurities that they just have. And
an added cultural element too. Fantastic.
Yes, and being embarrassed that your husband did cheat on you. And he's this plastic surgeon who also worked on your body. Like, I thought she was the quintessential housewife. Now, look, I also know some mistakes she has made by being a part of the social construct of social media that doesn't look too pleasing for a network. Yeah. Again, assuming. But I agree with you. I want to see women added to the show that fits that bill.
Yeah. Last thoughts about OC. Like, how do you think they could make the show better?
Look, I think one thing I'm enjoying OC this season. Again, they made some decisions and I'm like, I would have done things differently. But I think overall, I'm enjoying watching it. I'm curious to see where things go with these ladies because we talked about this when it comes to like Miami and how you believe their friendships. These women don't like each other.
It's very upsetting.
They don't like each other. They don't like each other.
Not only do they not like each other, they go to extremes where they want to destroy one another. And that I don't find captivating, exciting, inspiring. It's hard to watch.
What are your thoughts on how they handled Katie Janela? When I say they, meaning the women.
Well, I think that show notoriously hates outsiders.
Oh, tell me more.
They just do. I mean, I think Vicky Gunvalson set the tone from the very beginning. Every person that joined that show, she was horrible to. She berated them. I remember there was this one scene, they went to Balboa Island and they had gone to like the Village Inn or something. And maybe it was Lizzie that had been in the limo, if I remember correctly. But she's, I work. What do you do? Just like berating them.
Yeah, I remember that.
And like, if that's the OG person, she sort of sets the tone. They're just not very welcoming of outsiders at all. And they don't really have much turnover. And the fact that they're bringing back people from the very beginning, which I think, again, is the opposite of where we should be moving in these shows. It's not a ripe place for someone who is different, who has a modern version of like parenting, marriage, the way they look at life. I think that show is just very stuck in the past.
Would you say, because obviously this is your town, right? Would you say that is the thought process of these women, or is that the thought process of just OC? Is OC progressive enough to accept the women that you and I both want to see added to these shows. I mean, to this show.
Well, I will tell you, there is a small element of it that in the specific town I'm in and maybe the town over, it is hard to be an outsider and to come in. So because like I was told, well, you meet friends when you have kids. It's like until you have kids, like, because your kids go to school together, you're like stuck with someone. They're kind of like, and I think it's changing though. It was much more when I first moved here, or like, did you go to this high school and did you go to USC and were you in the sorority? If not, like you're not invited to the party because I still go to get together with the 4 people I went to high school with all the time. Or they go on a trip with 15 couples and they're all wearing matching trucker hats that say like mermaid on it. That's the example I always give, but it truly is. However, I feel like that's actually changing more because we've had an influx in the last couple years of people from LA and from other places because of COVID. People came here because it's more of like a resort town kind of feel. And then also with the Palisades fires, now you have a lot of LA people here. So it's changing. But so maybe it was a little bit more true, an element of that true like years ago. Also, this is actually a very diverse county. It's just the 2 towns, like, and maybe the 3 towns around me, I feel like it's very white. But you go outside of that, it's very diverse. We have a huge Asian population. We have a huge Middle Eastern population. And it astounds me that after all these years that they're not infusing the cast with more women that represent that. Especially, again, it's like some people have been on the show for a very long time. And I think it's important to walk away and then come back or just walk away altogether. Like, I know there's chatter now, bring back Vicky. I'm like, why? But why?
I think a lot of it too is
get
just
somebody from LA who has a different culture, is thick into raising children. Like that's what I think would be interesting. I want to see something new and different. Again, you have to make a show in this current climate where you are competing with streaming. With the amount of unscripted that's available right now, I make a list every week. I'm telling people like at least 8 to 10 things every week of things that they can watch. You have to be a standout now to grab people's attention.
Yeah.
And if it's the same show that it was 15 years ago, I don't think you're going to get it.
No, you have to get with the times. I mean, that's for certain. And I do think there's a healthy balance between familiar faces and new faces. But I agree with you. I think when it comes to the OC, look, I am just curious to see how the rest of the season is going to go because I just don't think they like each other. And I even think like even when they make up.
And not only that, they are willing to destroy each other. And I don't understand it. Do you hate anyone that much? I don't.
I don't. No. And I know a lot of shit about a lot of people. A lot of shit. And I'm just not the one to like,
And I'm an Irish English person. There's no better person to hold a grudge than yours truly. I hold a grudge. I don't hate anybody that much that I really want to destroy their life and make sure that they never work again and they have no friend. Like that, to go to that length, I don't understand.
I agree with you. It's not my thing. It really isn't.
And I have talked to some of them offline and I keep saying the same thing. It's just a TV show.
Yeah.
It's just, is it worth it? It's just a TV show.
I know. But I think what happens, Kate, look, let's just call it what it is. I think a lot of these women on these shows, they want to keep the momentum going. Because think about it. They have a second win in life. They're making money. They're famous. And they get to like not hide behind their husband's wealth and persona. They get to, in their words.
Step into the light, Carol Ann. Yes.
Yeah. And they'll do anything to be in that light. And once the light is taken away from them, you've seen it and you've spoken to these women. And I remember, I will always tell the world how your amazing conversation with Bronwyn on your podcast and how she said, "Who am I without this show?" And how that it stopped me in my tracks because I thought to myself, you're a mom of 10 kids. Like you were somebody before the show. But this was the saddest part to me. You were only on for 2 seasons.
2 seasons. Do you remember what I said to her after she said that?
Remind me.
I said, I'm not going to let you say that ever again.
You did, yeah.
And I had to go through all the things that she should be proud of and working on and feel success in. I was like, I'm not going to let you get away with that.
So, Kate, if you can feel that in 2 seasons, imagine what these women feel like now being almost 10 or more.
I know. Go out and live like a life. Go out, meet people, travel. You do a disservice to yourself if you just stay on a TV show and your whole life is consumed by what do people say about me on Reddit.
Couldn't be me, girl.
It's like, go out and live your life, man. I know.
It's sad, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, your homework is you're going to watch Chrisley's and then you're going to report back and tell me what you think. Now, listen, I said this to you and I want the good people listening to know this too. If you at first think, well, I don't have Lifetime, you can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's also on DirecTV.
Thank you.
You can go and do on-demand DirecTV too. And if anybody is ever concerned, how do I watch something? You just put it in Google, like where can I watch the show? And it'll spit back to you a bunch of different options. Most shows now live on different platforms.
And you would think as a TV producer, I would know that.
Or you could text your relatives and say, who's got a passcode for blah, blah, blah.
Well, that too.
Exactly.
But I'm going to watch it tonight.
Good. I'm grateful for your time.
Grateful for you as always.
And that was fun.
Great episode.
And tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, my podcast, Reality with the King, is available wherever you get your podcast. You can follow me on all social platforms at @BeCarlosKing_.
Thank you.
Thank you, my love.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my great guest, Carlos King, and remind you to subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you leave a 5-star review. Join the Facebook group Reality Life with Kate Casey. Don't miss out on that. My What to Watch list is at katecasey.substack.com. Bonus episodes on Apple Podcast and also on Patreon. And then make sure you follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KateCaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at @KateCasey. Check back tomorrow again for a most special Saturday series episode tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Denise Chan, host of Scam Factory. You might remember hearing about our investigative series that exposed what's really happening behind those suspicious texts you get. Inside heavily guarded compounds across Asia, thousands are trapped and forced to scam others or risk torture. One of our most powerful stories was Jella's, a young woman who thought she'd found her dream job, only to end up imprisoned in a scam compound. Her escape story caught the attention of Criminal's Phoebe Judge, and I'm honored to share more details of Jella's journey with their audience. But Jella's story is just one piece of this investigation. In Scam Factory, we reveal how a billion-dollar criminal empire turns job seekers into prisoners, and how the only way out is to scam your way out. Ready to uncover the full story? Binge all episodes of Scam Factory now. Listen to Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts.